Welcome back to episode 4 of the Clubhouse Briefing podcast. This is, I believe, episode 5. I took a little bit of a break, took some time off for the holidays. At the time of recording, it's early February, and so the last video I made was back in November, but took some time off. We got sick. Katie and I, my wife, we had a stomach bug, and it was just very not fun, not very fun for us. So we were sick for about 4 days, and then you get into the holidays and get into Christmas and New Year's, and then she starts back with school, and so we've been busy, but I'm excited for this. And the biggest reason for why I haven't been doing this is back in November we ended up getting a dog. You may be able to hear her at this time of recording because she is out, but we got a lovely mini golden doodle, and she is absolutely fantastic. I'll have some pictures on the screen for y'all, maybe a video, but it's been crazy because we got her and she was 8 weeks old, maybe 10 weeks old, but she was at least 8 to 10 weeks old. And so training has been a really big deal for us. I know that I was the person who got voluntold to go out at 2 in the morning when she needed to go to the bathroom. And so I have been a little sleep deprived when that was going on. Now she's fine. She'll make it through the night. But when that was going on, definitely was sleep deprived, but she's been a blessing. She's super cool. So weekends used to be where I would do this, where I would sit down and I would record all this stuff and edit and do some other things. But since we got Maggie, time has just been a little short, and so she's gotten to where she can hold her bladder for 4 to 5 hours when she's awake. When she's in her crate or asleep, it's a lot longer than that. But trying to make sure she's just trained, because doing 2 to 3 months of hard work now training her will pay off 4 or 5 years down the road when she is hopefully fully trained, and I can just let her in here with me and she'll be fine and whatever. But we got a new dog. She's been a very big blessing and handful, and right now she's teething, and so everything that is in our house is going to get bit and chewed on. But that's just how it works. So I'll have some photos like I mentioned, but she is a very sweet dog, and we're glad to have her because she's been amazing. But you've also probably noticed that I'm pulling some stuff up here. I was supposed to do an episode on Titleist Q3 financial performance, and go over how they've been, what was the state of the company back in the end of I guess for them, but in September. Back in November I was going to do that, and I'm still going to do that, but it is very intensive because I created my own financial analysis spreadsheet, and so I have been still working on that, trying to do things with that. But with the puppy and other things, that episode has been postponed. So this episode is going to be like a January, February update. And so I think there's a few things I want to talk about for sure, but there's other things that I'll just kind of squirrel and we'll talk about. But there's for sure about 5 or 6 things that I really want to talk on that's been going on from December, kind of like mid-December, all the way up until this week. I mean, right now, as I'm filming this podcast, Scotty Scheffler, who we'll get to in just a little bit, is almost tied for the lead in another golf tournament. So Scotty Scheffler is going to be a very big competitor this year, and so yeah, we'll get to that. I'll talk about what's happened in January and February of this year already. But the first thing that I want to talk about is PXG. I personally have some involvement with PXG, and this whole segment I'll have my computer screen, which I'm using, pulled up, and I'll go through all the clubs and stuff. But I am a past PXG user. I use I want to say it was the 06 irons. I have to find them because now they're already on the 07, but let me find them. That's Gen 8. Well, I will find the irons that I used, but maybe I used the Gen 5. Let's see here. Yes, I used the Gen 5 ones. Wow. Anyway, I'll pull up this picture right here. So as you can see on screen, this was the kind of club that I used. I think I used the P version of these irons, and I had them from 5-iron all the way to gap wedge, and they were really nice irons. And so PXG came up from my recollection because they had 2 new big club signings this year, or Tour Pro signings for their clubs, and it is Marco Pinge and Aldrich Potgieter. And I think this is substantial for PXG for a couple of reasons. PXG, they've been around for, I want to say by this point, maybe 11 years, 11 or 12 years. I think they kind of came out in like 2014, 2013, and their whole deal was, we're going to make the nicest golf clubs, the best performing golf clubs, but also the most expensive golf clubs. We're going to create the product first and then ask about how much it costs later, which when they came out, they were very expensive. I think the drivers were like $1,100 back then, 10 years ago. And then the iron sets were easily $3,000. The putters were expensive. Everything was this premium product that by all accounts is supposed to be the best performing. And so they came out, I'm giving the history of this for a reason. They came out with these most expensive products, and then they kind of went, about 4 or 5 years later, they switched gears and they went to package sets. They went to sets that were $800, driver, 3-wood, 4 irons, 5 irons, and then wedges and putters. But they went to package sets and completely off the brand identity, changed their whole pricing scheme. And now it seems like they're kind of in the middle where they're making good clubs. Whenever I had the, it's 0311 Gen 5 irons, they were great. Like I really enjoyed them. There was a few things that I'll get onto that I would change and go into my current clubs. I'll go over there and get me one of my current clubs. But I enjoyed them. They're good clubs. I went to the fitting store in Dallas over there. I want to say it is off of, let me find it. I need maps. There you go. So just, let me get it pulled up here. So just south of the Sam Rayburn Tollway, pretty close to one of our bank's branches actually, there was a PXG Dallas store, and I was up there probably 2 or 3 years ago and was like, okay, I'll go try it out. I think this would be nice. But just literally north of Dallas, just west of Plano, there's a PXG store. And I went up there and was like, okay, like this will be great. I'll go get clubs, and the store is very nice, very professional, very fancy, and it was a very, very, very fun experience. And got my clubs, did that, but I guess going to that, it was very consumer focused and something that I wasn't really expecting, especially as a left-hander. There's very little stores that have things for lefties to the extent that they did. So I've had a very good impression of PXG, but I know that they've struggled shifting gears on tour. I know that they have Tour Pros. I think their website says they have 28 Tour Pros, 29 Tour Pros, but none of the main guys, none of the head turners have historically played PXG, and some of them actually have played PXG and then switched to other companies. Like I think Wyndham Clark used to play. Yes. So according to this, it just says that. Perfect. Here's a Golf WRX article of Wyndham Clark, 2020. So back in 2020, Wyndham Clark actually played PXG. He had, looks like a full set of bags, including hybrids, irons, back when they first came out, like I was saying. And he played them. And so I know that after he left PXG, moved over to Titleist, he won a major, he won the US Open. And so I think they just struggled to make a big presence on tour, but I think their latest 2 signings are very influential for a couple of reasons. As these guys, Marco and Aldrich, they're big hitters. Aldrich actually led the PGA Tour for driving distance this past season in 2025. I want to say it was 319. I want to say his average driving was 319 for the whole year. oh, about 10 yards off. Average was 329. So 329, Marco Pinge, he's right around the 315, 320. I want to say he was the longest driver of the ball on the DP World Tour. And so them signing these two guys, I think signifies that PGA players are getting the PXG clubs in their bags. They're testing it. They're going through the process of validation, and they're finding that these are performing very well. The newest club's the Lightning, I think, is a very speed-focused driver. And so, like, just looking at it, the shaping, I think they went for a lot of aerodynamics with the back kind of like, not the cavity, but the funnel and the airstream dynamic. I think they have gone for a lot more speed priority or emphasis on speed. And they're pretty cool looking clubs, but I think that PXG getting these two players signifies that, hey, tour players are ready to test out PXG, give it a shot. And I'm sure there was money involved. I'm sure there was money involved for both these guys going. I don't know what the signing bonuses were or anything like that. But I think with the metalwoods, I know different players have used PXG irons. Like Jake Knapp, he usually, from my understanding, has played PXG irons and wedges, but he's always used a ping driver or a ping 3-wood. I don't know if that's changed recently. It may have, but I know quite a few PXG players will use other companies' metalwoods, but then they'll use PXG's irons and wedges. And so I always like PXG. Like I was saying, I had the Generation 5 irons, and I have now switched. I guess I have a combo set, but I switched over to Cobra, and I went blacked out. This is the Cobra King CB, of the CB model, and then my 9-iron is when I make the switch. Let's see. My 9-iron is the King Tour. So very nice clubs. I like the blacked out finish. The thing that I didn't like with PXG about the irons was they were a little too chunky. Sorry, they were a little too chunky. I remember looking at the 0317 clubs and going in for the fitting, and this was, let me find these. I went for the 0317 clubs, and they have the CB, and then they have more of a bladed version. And the CB irons, I thought they looked fantastic. I love the shape of them. They were very nice. I enjoyed hitting them. But the guy that I was working with was like, well, you're getting better ball speed off of the bigger version, the Generation 5 irons. And I was like, yeah, I know probably like I'm getting better ball speed, but I like the way the CB looked. And it eventually got to a point where the numbers for the bigger club were so tempting is not the right word, but they were so overwhelming of like, yeah, this club literally is going 7 to 8 yards further per club. I was convinced to move over to the bigger club, and grand scheme of things, I think I would have liked the shaping of the 13 irons better. Let me find the other ones. It's not going to be tit for tat, but I mean, this will be good. So I went, this was kind of the shaping, more offset, a way bigger toe section, a bigger top line. And let me find, I don't think I played the XP. I think I just played the P or the T. So that's the smaller version, and that even still has a lot of heel weighting, or not even weighting, but just a lot of heel left over, bigger top line, a little less offset. So that's kind of the best that I was going to get. And then whenever you go over to the 0317 irons, the CB, I mean, just the top line's not even close, in my opinion, of how it's shaped. There's a lot less offset. The way the neck actually goes into the club head, in my opinion, looks better shaped. The toe, like, not as much of a sharpness to it. It's a little more round, and then I just like the top line better. So I was convinced to go to the CB. Guy was like, no, you're getting more distance with this one. Go with this one instead. And I did well with them. Like, I think my best round playing with those was 1 or 2 under, and like, I liked them. They were fun. Nothing really to note. And you'll also notice, if you can see on screen, there's a crate underneath me. So like I said, we're fully in puppy stage, and this is something we have for Maggie, but I'm going to use it as a footrest. But the irons, I enjoyed them, but the thing that I noticed is that with those Gen 5 irons, the inside of the iron cavity was speed foam. They added speed foam in there, and I noticed that I was getting, plus with them being stronger lofted than a CB or an MB iron, the 7 hours probably 31, 32, and then that in combination of the speed foam made it where I would just get flyers. Like I'd be like, okay, I'm 138 out. This should be like a little 9 iron, and it would go like 147, 150. And I was like, I don't like that. And so I switched over to the Cobras. Plus one, they're blacked out. Like I love that look. I don't like the glare of a silver iron all the time. They're blacked out. They look good. They feel good. And they were pretty cheap. They weren't that crazy. I think they were like 150 an iron, 160. So yeah, I mean like less than $1,000 for all of them. And maybe a little up. I think they're like 160 to 170. They're very nice. So I had those, but with PXG, you know, with Marco and Aldrich moving back over, like I was saying, I think it's a big shift for PGA pros, giving them a chance. Like I said, I'm sure there's money involved. I don't know if the golf ball's involved with that. I know looking at Marco, there's a video of him playing and testing, and you know, he had a very, very interesting set of Mizunos where they were Mizuno irons, I believe, bent 2 degrees strong or weak, which affected offset. So they essentially had no offset. I guess it'd be weak maybe as reduces offset. But they had no offset. He's trying like a 7X shaft in his irons and like his woods. And I know Aldrich is using a very, very stiff shaft too. And so, yeah, just very particular guys, very focused on having the equipment they need. And so, yeah, it was very interesting to see whenever it came across my headlines that they had switched, but good for them. Wish them the best this year. Obviously, I think both of them are very talented guys. You know, Aldrich won last year as a rookie, and then Marco won 3 times on the DP World Tour. Now he's teeing it up on the PGA and the DP World Tour, and so wish them both the best. I think they're going to do amazing. But yeah, just 2 big signings, and I think PXG could start to become more of a tour presence as things move on. And so the second thing is, I don't have any screen for this, but Scotty Scheffler just keeps winning. And so New Year's, same Scotty Scheffler. In his first start this year, he won the American Express Championship. I believe it was 2 weeks ago by 4 shots over Jason Day and Ryan Gerard. So Scotty shot 64, 63, 68, 68 to win. And I don't really know what else to say at this point because his scrambling, perfect. His putting looked very good. I know he's still using the TaylorMade Spider. And all around tee to green, he looked very solid. The only caveat, I'm sure the TaylorMade Tour reps hate Scotty for this. Not literally hate Scotty, but he's a pain in their butt because the only thing is he was using his old QI10 driver. He wasn't using the QI4D, which we'll come on to in a little bit. But TaylorMade's new driver, he wasn't using that. He's got the TaylorMade QI10 dot model, which is the core head, but they've changed some weighting around. And yeah, I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. He won 8 times last year, I think, either 6, 7, or 8 times. I should know, I just did a video on this, but winningest player on tour last year, 2 majors, and goes into the first part of the year and tees off in December. He played no hero, teed off in December with the QI4D. Did really well. I think he was top 10, top 5 with a limited field, but still a good field nonetheless. And yeah, he went back to QI10 and got another win. And I don't really know what to say because it's a struggle with TaylorMade. Of, you know, you go on TaylorMade's website. I was lying. I do have a site to show you for this, but you go onto, you know, TaylorMade's website, and usually on the front page they're going to promote the newest thing. Right now it's the golf balls, but you go down and they're going to promote the newest thing. They're going to say, congratulations Scotty, or make an Instagram post, or, you know, Rory won with this, Nelly won with that, Charlie Hull won with this. They're going to say those things, but when you go to TaylorMade's bag, or their what's in the bag for Scotty, all you see is the QI40 fairway. You don't see the QI10, the QI10, and the QI4D. But I just think it's a pain for them. Obviously, they should celebrate a TaylorMade guy winning because, yeah, Scotty's destroying the field with our stuff. But at the same time, he's doing it with the driver that is, you know, I guess this year 2 models ago. 2 years old. He's still winning. He's doing well. And I know with their wedges, they're probably a little sore about that. He uses SM8 and SM10s from Vokey and from Titleist. And so if you're looking at what's in the bag, you've got the Tiger Woods iron, which at this point, Scotty should have his own tailor-made iron set, in my opinion. And then you have the putter, and then one fairway wood. I want to say it's a 5 wood that's in the QI4D. But man, he is just a pain in these guys' butts, because if you look down at his stuff, he's got great looking clubs. I mean, he has fantastic TaylorMade clubs. They're very reliable. He knows probably everything about these irons and these woods and how they're going to perform, but it just sucks because it puts them in a hard spot of, well, yeah, we'd like to say that he won using our newest stuff, but we can't, because at that point people will know, oh, well, if the world #1 player by a landslide is winning with these clubs, why do I need to go spend $700 on a new driver? So puts them in a tough spot. I'm sure the tour reps are like, hey man, like you gotta switch over. But yeah, Scotty keeps winning. He's doing fantastic. And yeah, it's just tough day for the TaylorMade guys. Other recent news, Brooks Koepka, Brooksy, he's coming back to the PGA Tour. He has applied to be reinstated by the returning member program. So if any player, let's say it's been on LIV and wants to come back to the PGA Tour, they've been on LIV for 2 years and they won a major or the Players since 2002. They can come back to the tour with heavy fines. I mean, obviously some of these guys left, punches swinging, lawsuits, and some other guys just left for the money. They wanted to go play a different tour. They wanted a better schedule. It was better for the families. All that being said, if a player left 2 years, they have to pay heavy fines. If they left and were on LIV for 2 years, they're coming back. They have to pay heavy fines. They have to give $5 million to charity, and they're also going to be exempt from the player equity program for the PGA Tour. And so the only players that qualify is Jon Rahm, Bryson, and Cam Smith, and then Brooks. Brooks won a major back in 2023, believe it was the PGA Championship, and then Cam Smith won the Open, Jon Rahm at the Masters, and then Bryson with the US Open. And so those are the only players that have the option to rejoin under this returning member program. Brooks' last start was at the Farmers. It was last week. I think he's in the Waste Management. But at the Farmers, he did good. He made the cut. I want to say he finished tied 57th. And so not great by what he historically has performed like, but first time being out on the PGA Tour. I know before he was saying he was nervous and he was excited to get back, but I'm sure that's nerve-wracking for him. He hasn't played on the PGA Tour in 3 to 4 years. Fans are going to have their own thoughts, or other players are going to have their own thoughts. And so out of those 4, Brooks is elected to come back. So is the same with Patrick Reed. He's also being or trying to apply to be reinstated to the PGA Tour through a different program. But I think for LIV, thinking about what this means for LIV, it's 2 things. I think what it shows with Patrick Reed and Brooks is that the money wasn't everything. Like I've touched on in a previous video, these guys are making killings, especially Joaquin, Jon Rahm, Bryson. They're making really good money, but it's kind of like, what are we playing for? We don't have any world ranking points. We get payouts. We have team stuff. We're flying around the world. We're living and doing very well. But there wasn't, I feel like for Brooks, there wasn't the competitive fieriness. There wasn't the major opportunity to excel and succeed on LIV that you can get with the PGA Tour. Because, I mean, no discredit to LIV, but if you're having 54-hole no-cut events and you're there by invite, it's not the same as if you're a guy having to make sure, I'm out here because I deserve to be out here. And not saying the LIV players don't. They're all amazing players and would slap my butt hands down in a golf tournament or a golf match. But if you take the competitiveness of LIV and you compare that to PGA Tour is almost like creative destruction. You destroy the old talent by them missing cuts, not making it onto the next year's tour roster, and you have these new guys that are coming in and performing, and the end result of that is you're creating the best product by getting rid of the old stuff. And Liv doesn't have that. But for Liv, I think, along with their financial struggles, they are really, really struggling, I think, with sponsor income and especially the expenses for player salaries. But I think they've got that under control. They're slowing the bleeding with that, but they're struggling financially to make a profit. I know the Live Golf UK entity that they run all their international operations through, it hasn't performed that well. I think they're still operating at a net loss. And so, I'm not one of those people that thinks it's the beginning of the end, because I personally would like to go to a Live event. I would like to go watch it. I'd like to go be involved and see what it's about. I think it's a very nice concept, but I worry, and I would say probably some people at Live are worrying that do fans especially think that we're competitive? Do they think that these players are going out and they're grinding, they're working, they're trying to earn something from being out here, not just, they get paid, they just want to make a lot of money. It's about, I think, for Live, they have to prove and point out, this is about tradition. We need to make tradition because we're a new league. It's about overall performance of how are our players doing, or how are our players doing while they're playing. But I think it's going to be a blow to Liv, losing Brooks and Patrick. And Patrick just said, hey, I want to go back to PGA Tour because it's the best golf league on the planet. And when you say that, being on Liv, you're pretty much saying, I don't think Liv's that great. So I don't know how that exit interview went, but I'm sure that wasn't a pretty one. But I don't know what it means for Liv. I think they have some stop the bleed they need to do. They need to make sure that they put a Band-Aid on it and we seal this thing up to make sure that we're presenting what we need to the golf public. But I mean, props to Brooks for going back. I know the PGA Tour welcomed him back. It's exciting to see him compete because he's in his later 40s, and so I remember 2016, 17, 18, 19. Anytime he teed it up in a major, it was probably 30-40% chance he was going to win. So he was very well respected in the golf community. I like Brooks. I think he's a good guy. And so looking now to the PGA Tour for their players, do I think it's worth it for them? I think it sends a bad message to your players and the people that are on the PGA Tour of, hey, sorry guys, you chose to stick it out with us. You chose to be a part of this league and defend this league while other people left and went and got paid handsomely for it. But if they've won a major, we'll just welcome them back. Not open arms, but with no repercussions. But definitely going to welcome them back with, pay a little bit of money here. You can only play, I want to say it's 12 to 16 tournaments. You're not going to receive any equity from being a part of the tour, and you got to pay some fines. But virtually no other slaps on the wrist. And so I feel like it's probably going to piss some PGA people off. Players are going to look and say, why would we do this as an organization? But I think as a product for the fans, it's better. It's better for the PGA to have Brooks back and Patrick back. And it's a tough situation because I've learned as I've gotten older, everybody's going to be mad about something. Somebody's going to be mad about everything. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting. But Brooks is back. I think he's at the weights management. I hope he's doing well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Liv and the rest of the golf world with all the roster changes and people moving between leagues now and having the ability to do that as well. The next thing I want to talk about is those two new clubs. I was talking about TaylorMade, but then also another one is Callaway. They both released new clubs over the off season. And Callaway's newest range is the Quantum Metalwoods, and so they have 5 new models. And let me go to their website. So they released their Quantum models, and you always hear about quantum physics, or that was a quantum leap and whatever. It's a big gap, a big improvement. And their biggest thing for this year is Triforce, and so it's 3 layers. You have the titanium face, and then you have carbon fiber, and there's another layer inside that 3. Here it is exactly. You have a ultra thin high strength titanium, so that's the outer layer, what the actual ball is hitting on the golf club. You have a poly mesh, some sort of polynanomer material that's sandwiched in between the titanium and then carbon carbon fiber. And so I think Callaway was saying with this club, it's going to be their best club ever. I mean, obviously every club says that, but they say that through consistent performance across the entire face. It's thanks to a face flex, which is used by AI. So they've actually engineered the club face to where AI ran models and algorithms to figure out how can we build the best club face possible. And they actually did make it just like a straight thin layer. Now there's ridges and there's contours in the face to help preserve ball speed and help with missed hits. So then they have an AI engineered face. They then have a ultra thin titanium face, a poly mesh, and then carbon fiber that's working together to make spin, ball speed, and other parts of the initial hit and launch off the golf club as great as possible. And so that's Callaway's new thing, new clubs for this year. As I mentioned earlier, there's 5 sets. So there is the Quantum Max, or not 5 sets, 5 models for this year. There's the Quantum Max, there's the Quantum Max D, which is just the Max, but more in the draw setting by having more of the weight in the heel. The Triple Diamond, and then the Triple Diamond Max, and then the Fast Max. And the Fast Max is like a lighter shaft, lighter club head, made for people that have a generally slower swing speed and want a club that's lighter so they can swing it as fast as possible. But I think with this year, I'm not really sold on the looks. I know just looking at this, it feels like it's a tier system, honestly, like the Max and the Max D. They don't look bad. I don't really like the color scheme, the red, black, and gray, but I know that's kind of going back to early 2010s, late 2000s Callaway design. But I don't like how they have a shiny sole for the club. It's fine the way it is. But then you go to the Triple Diamond, and the Triple Diamond looks dope. Like Triple Diamond, you go on there, it's got this carbon fiber base plate. It's got, in my opinion, a nicer, sexier looking back of the club with the weight ports. And it looks more premium. And so like if you buy the Max, but then someone buys the Max or the Triple Diamond or the Triple Diamond Max, it feels like you're getting a worse club for $650 for the Max. So you're paying $650 plus sales tax of, depending on the state, wherever you're at, say 10 to 15% plus shipping. I mean, and plus you do custom shafts. It's going to be probably $750 to like $900 for a new driver. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the color wave as it is for either model. But I just feel like, why would you buy the Max if you can buy the Triple Diamond Max and get a better looking club, more adjustability with the weight ports? And because I know the Max, I believe there's not as much weight in the toe. And so like it's going to be a neutral or draw biased driver by itself. But then with the Max or the Triple Diamond Max, you can put more in the toe. And so you can bring in a fade bias. So I don't really know why they have two models or 2 tiers of models. And yeah, I mean, even the Max Fast, like it's the same carbon plate on the bottom of the club. And I mean, they look fine, but I don't know. I don't know why you would buy that compared to this. This is the Elite Night Triple Diamond, the Elite Night Edition driver. It's regular old Elite, but blacked out. And like this club, that is a very, very nice golf club. And so I wonder, I wonder how the looks of the new club are gonna, because if you're telling me, yeah, this one looks worse in my opinion, but it has this new Triforce face, but it also costs you $200 extra when you can just get a blacked out Elite and this thing looks scary, and is 1 year difference. I just feel like this is going to be a much better deal. I mean, like why would you buy any other club when you can still buy the previous year's model for $200 less, and you can still probably get the same amount of customization with the shaft, the head, the 9.5, 10.5, or you can do different grips. So like personally, nothing, I don't have anything against the Callaway driver this year with the Optimum, but the Elite, like this is a much better looking driver. So, interesting to see how Callaway sales do, but like this club compared to the Optimum, I don't know why you buy the other one. So yeah, Callaway has new clubs, and same thing with TaylorMade. So TaylorMade has their new QI 4D, and the 4D stands for 4 dimensions. And they have, for this year, they have 5 models of drivers. Let me touch on what the 4 dimensions are that they have. I need to see where they, okay. This is what they, okay. So what they did is the first dimension, they started with the shape of the head. So they did some redesigning. They say here, shape for speed. And they went through and they did aerodynamic tests. They used probably some liquid and air tests to figure out, okay, what's the fastest thing that we can make? So I think TaylorMade's returning back to a speed emphasis with their new golf clubs. They engineer it for distance and forgiveness. So the other 2 things that they did was a focus on distance through ball speed, but also through optimized carry numbers through spin and trajectory. But then the newest thing is that they're actually making a shaft for every swing. And so what this is, let me see if I can go find it. Normally they have a shaft picker. You know, and I'm not going to be able to find it. But basically, okay, let me go back to where I was. Basically, with all their models, they're going to have different shafts you can pick from. And the shafts are measuring how much release do you have through the impact area. So they have high release, and this is someone that's extremely flippy with their hands. They have a shaft that is designed for that person. And then they have someone who's a middle player where they're kind of doing a slow, like methodical release, but they're not hanging on to it necessarily. They're dragging the club through it, still rotating, but not as much as someone who flips. Think of Rory McIlroy. When he gets to the ball, his hands are pretty synced up with where the club head is. They're all one line from the forearm all the way down to the club head. And then the other one is someone who really lags as they go into the ball. And think of like a Colin Morikawa, where he has that bowed wrist, and then he is dragging it through, and that forearm is pointing ahead of the golf ball, but the hands are still behind. And so TaylorMade has apparently gone through and ran 11 million shots through a data analysis program and figured out that, if we have 3 sets of golf shafts that are built for these different release types, it's going to help the player. And so they partnered with Mitsubishi Chemical to make the shafts. And so I'm excited to test these out. With the Callaway, I'm not really that interested in testing them out, but the TaylorMade, I like the look. I really do like the look. I think that these drivers, shelf appeal wise, are very, very attractive. I think they honestly give me a little bit of a reminder of the TaylorMade M2. I think going back to the TaylorMade M2, let me see the picture. I think if you go back and you look at the M2, the shaping, obviously most of the TaylorMade drivers are going to have that speed pocket. They are going to have the speed pocket at the back of the face, right below the bottom of the crown and where the club face goes to the undersole. They have a speed pocket, which is for off-center hits, trying to make sure they retain as much ball speed as possible. But I think with the shaping of the back of the club, it gives me a lot of vibes from the M2. They didn't do it with the club actually protruding out. Like the M2 didn't actually protrude out of the club, but the shaping, the aerodynamics of the bottom of the club, I feel like they have done very, very well matching the M2. Slight changes, different color scheme, different actual design of the club head itself, but I like the QI40. I think it's a very nice looking club. I'm interested in playing it or trying it to see if I wanted to play it, because right now I have the Ping 430 Max, and so I've enjoyed this golf club. It's been really nice. I need a different club loft because right now I'm at a 9, but I have this thing cranked up to like 10.2, 10.25 probably. Very nice club, very forgiving. Really enjoyed using it. I went and got custom fit for it, but I feel like with the shaft and the way the club is, I cannot hit a draw with this club. I can't hit a draw with it. It's a good fade machine, tee it medium height, put it a little bit on the heel, and you'll hit this nice, butter fade or a little better cut if you want to. But I'm interested in trying the QI40 because I feel like I bought the Ping for forgiveness. It's been great. But man, the 4D just looks so good. And there's been Instagram reels of Rory and Scotty and Grant Horvat using this thing, and it looks really, really nice. And so I also miss having some of the adjustability of clubs like the 4D because with the Ping, you only have the weight in the back of the club, and you can do back fade, middle, or draw. And I think with the QI40, I would benefit from having a little more club loft, but moving these weights up front for a little bit lower spin. And so I'm interested in trying it. It looks like a fantastic golf club from the reviews I've seen about it and everything that's going on tour. And yeah, I really am interested in trying this. And so TaylorMade has their new, everyone talks about the drivers, but these companies also have fairway woods and hybrids, and so TaylorMade for the drivers, they have the low spin, the LS model, the low spin LS model. They have the standard QI40, they have the max version, the max light, which is the same as the optimum fast. It's the slower swing speed club, or even I guess you could do high swing speed that just wants to have a lighter club head. But I think they're designed for lower or slower swing speed players. And then you have the LME. These ones are interesting. They are the launch monitor enabled ones. And so if you look here on the club face, they have these dots. And whenever you use a TrackMan or a shot scope, well, there's a new shot scope monitor coming out, but whenever you use the TrackMan or the GC quad monitors, like an Edwin Watts, where I'm at, those are around us, or Dick's or PGA Superstore, for the launch monitor to get club head data, they have to have these little dots on the face. TaylorMade has gone ahead and built those into the club, and so people doing simulator golf or indoor golf or just trying to get fit with an easier time, they have these new reflective fitting markers. And so granted, I mean, it's a $50 upcharge. Do these little reflective materials probably cost $50 put on there? No, they're selling these things at probably a handsome profit. But yeah, they have it where instead of putting little dots on the face or little pieces of tape for a launch monitor to be able to pick it up, they're built right on the club face. And so yeah, I think TaylorMade will do really well with this, and I feel like they're returning back to a speed and a just a pursuit of like, let's get it. I don't know how else to put it, but like they chase moment of inertia, forgiveness, and some other stuff with the QI10 and the QI35 drivers. I feel like they're going back to, let's make these things fast. Let's make these things look good, make them perform. And so I'm excited to see it. And so, yeah, excited for the new TaylorMade drivers to go hit. I'm going to go hit them pretty soon. And then, yeah, just excited to see how they perform because they look really, really cool. Update for the DP World Tour. So far, Jaden Shaper, I think is how you say his name. He's the only two times winner on the DP World Tour, with notable winners this year being David Pug, I don't know how you say his name, but David Pug from Live Golf, Patrick Reed, and Rasmus Nergård Peterson. They both won, or they have all three won. And then speaking of Patrick Reed, like I talked about earlier, when at the time of making the script, doing all the research for this episode, he was in the talks of renewing his contract, but he's coming back to PGA Tour. He's not going to Live, and he's already got a win this year on Live, but he's not even going back. So, or he's already got a PGA Tour, or not a PGA Tour, sorry, but he's already got a win on the DP World Tour. I know he has lifetime status, and so he's moving back over to the PGA, and he'll continue to play the DP World Tour this season. And so with DP World Tour, they have some pretty good venues. They have the Australian Open. Jaden Shaper is killing it. And yeah, I mean, Hudson, and yeah, they're all doing great. So other news is TGL's started its second season. And so during this past season, whenever I go to the gym, if I go, a lot of times TGL is on TV. And I think the idea and the concept of TGL is really, really cool. And so what it is, oh, Neil Shipley's on it now. I didn't know that. What it is an indoor golf simulator that's on a massive, gigantic scale. You have all these different teams. They have 5 to 6 players on each team, and the way the stadium is designed, it's called the SoFi Stadium. And so the way it's designed is where is the actual? There you go. When a player is playing, there's 3 different hitting areas. They can play off the fairway, off of a bunker, or out of the rough. And they're hitting from this pad into this giant screen. I think it's like 100 and something foot tall, but it's a giant simulator. The projected hole is right there, and they're playing simulator golf. And so they're hitting into the hole. The screen itself is 64 by 53 feet, so it is a massive square foot area. And they're hitting into this screen, and when they do that, different launch monitors and technology is tracking where the ball's going. And if they're hitting into a green, there's a green inside the stadium that it rotates. And so at the bottom of it, there's these motors. And it's 22,000 square feet of a short game area on this platform that rotates. And so a player will hit into the screen, it will track where their ball would land on the simulator, and on the real putting green inside the stadium, it drops their ball there, or it makes a marker, and that's where their ball is going to be at when they go to hit. And so it's person hitting into the screen, and then the fans in the crowd get to watch the short game action. And so it's artificial turf. They're playing simulator golf. They're playing on these different holes, and I think it's really cool. I don't have as much time as I'd want to go through with it or watch any of the videos, but it's a super cool concept. It's team golf. They have this thing called the hammer where they can double their points, and they can say the other team's in a bad spot. The team they're playing can say, okay, we want to go double or nothing pretty much, and they'll throw this thing called the hammer, which makes the other team either accept or decline. If they accept it, that hole is worth 2 extra points. If they decline it, then the other team automatically forfeits, and then the team that threw it gets the win on that hole. And so it's a lot like, foursome golf. You're playing with your buddies. You're going out there and playing games. The only difference is they're doing this on a indoor screen. And yeah, this is kind of a snippet of what it's like. It's an indoor stadium. There's fan seats, a fan experience. There's technology all the way around it, and they're playing golf on an indoor course. And so they have different holes they play, and it's really cool. And I think the teams this year are really neat. I think they have a lot of good star talent. I think the team that I matched with, I'll go through them all here real fast and tell you which one I matched with. You have Atlanta Drive. I did not match with them, and they've got Billy Horschel, Lucas Glover, Justin Thomas, and Patrick Cantley. And then Boston Commons, you have Rory, Hideki, Keegan, and Adam. Jupiter Links, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, I don't think they've won a match this year. So, but granted, Tiger's not playing because he had back surgery. And so, yeah, bit of a struggle for them. But you've got Jupiter with Tiger, Max Homa, Tom Kim and Kevin Kisner, LA Golf Club with Justin Rose, Colin Morikawa, Sahith Theegala, and then Tommy Fleetwood. You've got New York Golf Club with Xander, Matty Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler, and then Cam Young. You've got the Bay. This is who I matched with. They can have a team quiz where you can take a quiz and figure out which team you belong on. I'm the Bay Golf Club all the way, apparently. And you got Min Woo Lee, Ludwig Aberg, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, and then that's all the teams they have for season 1. Now, that's not exactly all the players now because they've added more. They just haven't updated their teams page. But for the Bay, you've got Luke Clanton and Neil Shipley. Tony Finau's joined for LA Golf Club. Let me see if I can find some other ones. I need to find the schedule. Jupiter Leaks won. They won on Monday. So, okay, there we go. I want to see the results. There we go. So Jupiter Links, I believe, has added Akshay Bhatia. Yeah, they added Akshay Bhatia. Max Homa still on there. Chris Gotterup now plays for Atlanta Drive. And then let me find some other players. They've added some more. LA, I've already got them. New York, who plays on them. And then New York, they added, no, there's nobody there. And then LA added a player. I know they did. No, that's it. Those people I mentioned were the same. So super cool. There's new players. I know with Boston, the Boston Golf Club, they added Michael Torbjornsson, and then I believe another player. So a lot of the teams are adding new players. They just haven't updated their website. But it's a super cool concept. I think it's very opening for the public to be able to watch golf and kind of know more about how the sport works and how you play it, because I was telling my wife the other day, or literally yesterday, that we went to the golf course and there was somebody that obviously had never been there. They had no idea what they were doing. And I told her, I was like, even when you started and with this new person, it can be very intimidating. And so I think this is a good way to bring people to the game and also to keep it entertaining, because sometimes golf does get boring. And so, yeah, especially seeing these young stars like Luke Lant and Neil Shipley join these rosters and have fun. It's exciting. And so, yeah, tomorrow I don't have ESPN Plus or ESPN, so I don't know. I'll just watch the YouTube highlights, but I'm excited to see how the league does. And it's a new thing. So, last two things I wanted to touch on very briefly. I don't even know how long we're at for this podcast, but the last two things I wanted to touch on was ShotScope released a new $199 launch monitor. Extremely cool. And let me find it. Well, there it is. I don't want the updates. I want to go. Yeah. So this is called the LM1. So it is a $199 launch monitor. You can pre-order it as of February 11th. So it's the 8th today. You can pre-order it 3 days from now, and it captures club head speed, carry distance, total carry or total distance, ball speed, and fast smash factor, which those you don't know, smash factor is ball speed divided into club head speed. So that's just the ratio of efficiency. I think the best someone's probably going to get is 1.5. So let's say your ball speed is 150, you swing at 100 miles an hour even. That's how efficient the golf ball's being hit. So this launch monitor is $199, and it's very cheap because other stuff like GC Quad, Flight Scope, trying to think of the one the PGA Tour uses. It's the big orange one. But those launch monitors can be thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars at the minimum. And so if this thing's accurate, if people go through and they review the numbers and the distances that this launch monitor gets for $199, I will probably be getting me on one myself. I mean, and I know it doesn't capture spin, but or it doesn't display spin. It captures spin to calculate the carry metric. So if you hit a 7-iron at 6,500 RPMs of spin, it's going to calculate the carry distance for that, but you're not going to be able to see it. But I know you can use it indoor or outdoor. And also it's like a speed training mode where you can do club head speed and do speed training on it. So I'm very interested to see how this performs and the reviews on it, because obviously there's a lot of hype of this could bring launch monitor technology to a lot of people. But if it sucks, if it can't read anything accurately and you hit a ball 150 like on the number and it says it went 130, nobody's going to want to buy it. So interesting to see how it goes. And ShotScope at PGA shows said they had conducted a lot of tests and that it's gone well. And so I'm excited. And then the last thing is, I don't have a screen part for this, but last thing I wanted to touch on is World Handicaps. So I was at the range and there was a guy next to me and he was talking about how in 40 years, handicaps haven't really moved. And I was like, is that true? Like, really? Has 40 years of technology and fitness and better eating regimens and stuff, has that not dropped people's handicaps, like for amateurs? I mean, professionals, obviously there's a lot more that goes on to them performing and doing well. But I was like, if handicaps haven't dropped for 40 years, why would I want to spend $700 on a new golf club if statistically it's not going to make that much of a difference? And so it got me thinking, what's the question? Have golfers gotten better over the last 40 years due to technology and better fitness routines? And obviously, if you're a 40-year-old accountant, you're not going to train like a PGA Tour player. But has the availability and the access to knowledge and better equipment gotten handicaps to drop? And so I did some research and I found a Golf Digest article, which I'll link in the description, which says that in 1983, the average male golfer was a 17 handicap. So they're probably going to shoot between 87 and 90 on a given day. And that's really their best score. So it's not the average of what they're going to shoot, but on a good day, a 17 handicap is going to shoot between 86, 87 to 90. They could have an average of 95, but the way handicaps are calculated, that's where they're going to probably shoot. And the average woman's handicap was 31, so they're going to shoot between 102 to about 105. As of 2023, 40 years after is when Golf Digest did this study. 40 years after an initial study, they found the average male handicap is a 14, so they're going to shoot between 83 and about 86, with women's being 28. So men and women have dropped 3 shots in 40 years of technology and people continuing to play. And so in the grand scheme of things, no, technology hasn't really made us that much better. I think probably there is a statistical significance to 3 shots, but to me that really doesn't equate to anything because in my personal opinion, that's 2 to 3 putts around, which is the difference in 3 putting and 4 putting once, and then 2 putting and 3 putting like twice. And so I threw in the 4 putt because you're if you're the average golfer, you're probably going to have a 4 putt every round or so. Hopefully not, but I know I'm not going to brag and say I haven't 4 putted before. But I think with handicaps and strokes gained and all the analytics you can do, that really equates to 2 to 3 shots per round, and that's 2 to 3 putts. So just make a few more 3-footers and staying out of 2 penalties. Let's say you 2-putt everything and you hit 2 less penalty areas and you don't have to drop. There's your shots made up. And so 3 shots, not that much of an improvement. And I would say the majority of the improvement is due to technology, especially with drivers and fairway woods, making them easier to hit, especially long irons. I mean, I think 4 and 5 irons, in my personal opinion, you shouldn't play them just because with a hybrid or a 7 or 9 wood, you're going to get much better consistency, but also just trajectory, what's the spin rate, what's the carry distance, and you're going to get better gapping between your irons and your woods. And so 4 and 5 iron technology has improved for people that want to use those clubs, but also having long game options has also probably helped reduce strokes, help reduce total strokes on a round. And I think also another thing is golf ball design. I think golf ball design and technology with 2000 Pro V1 and 2026 Pro V1, those balls are night and day different. And so I think that, I think golfers probably have gotten a little better, but I think for the most part, technology and golf ball design has significantly contributed to the decline in handicap. And so I'll link that article, like I said. Super excited that y'all were able to tune in. I know this is a bit of a longer episode. We're about to go to a Super Bowl party, and so I need to cut it off pretty soon. But very tickled to see what becomes of this podcast this year. I think my schedule is a little bit less than I wanted it to. Being newlyweds with a new puppy, it's hard to film exactly all the times that I want to, but I also have to make sure that I do spend time with my family. I spend time for stuff that I want to do, but I also like to go play golf too. And so I'll try to stay a little more consistent. I had a very long off season, you could say, with the podcast. And so I'll try to do every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe monthly, just see kind of what the routine is. I have a lot of this stuff done for the next episode with Titleist, Acushnet's, financials. And so I'm excited to see what happens with this. I'll try to keep the schedule a little more consistent. But with that, we're all done for today. And thank you for stopping by the Clubhouse. You've been briefed.